Morant with a running start. Elevates. Oh, it dunks. Oh, my goodness.
Tie game in overtime. Gasol will turn. His heat is gone. Memphis on top. 7-10 remaining. Conley now with three. Count it. A 15-point lead for Memphis. And Blake Griffin gets into it on the floor with Randolph. Hard to tell if there are any punches being thrown under there, but Griffin took acceptance.
Adams going long. Morant. He hit it. Ja Morant. Insanity.
You gotta be kidding me.
Welcome to Grits and Grinds, a Memphis Grizzlies podcast. My name is Keith Parrish. I have Molly Morrison coming up very shortly to talk about the things we're looking forward to from the Grizzlies. Of course, we give our thoughts on the possible fifth starter and the rotation. We also talk about the ESPN Ja Morant article and where we think the Grizzlies are going to stack up in the West, plus a bunch of other stuff. Before we get to Molly, just need to hit on a news item and an announcement. First of all, as far as Grizzlies news, they made a roster move as they cycle through guys that are going to be a part of the Memphis Hustle. They waived Jason Preston and Timmy Allen, who they had just signed, and now they have added Adonis Arms and David Johnson. Those are guys who we think they're just giving financial bonuses by being on the roster, and then they will put them on the Memphis Hustle this season. As far as the announcement, I just wanted to let you guys know that I have a couple of spots left in a fantasy basketball league with me that drafts this coming Monday. If you want one of those spots, you have to join my Patreon at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. You got to join for $5 a month. If you join, not only can you play in the fantasy league, but you get access to the Grits and Grinds Slack channel, and you also get bonus video content. So if you want to do all that, please support this program by going to patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. If you don't get in that fantasy league, well, I also have a negative fantasy league that is not capped. It is a huge league. We will take anybody who wants to play. That league drafts on Sunday, so you got to sign up by Saturday when I cut that off again. So if you want to play fantasy sports with me, you want to join the listener Slack channel, you want to support the creation of this Grizzlies show, do it at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. All right, now let's talk with Molly Morrison. Grizz superfan? Is that fair to say? Molly, happy to have you back on Grits and Grinds. How's it going?
Yes, I'm happy to be here. It's going great. How are you?
I am doing well. I am very excited, of course, about the NBA season. I'm to the point in the offseason where every time I watch a preseason game, I'm talking to myself saying, this is so good. Oh, this feels like a really good preseason. Is this preseason better than other preseasons? And it's probably just the same as always, but I think I'm definitely basketball starved. The Grizzlies play their final preseason game on Friday night, a rematch from last week when they played the Milwaukee Bucks, playing the Bucks again. Right. What do you think about this game? I know we shouldn't focus on a preseason game, but I think we're going to get Marcus Smart. So that's been reported. Yes. Marcus Smart says he's going to play. Okay. I think because of that, are you on the same page with me? Like maybe we'll get sort of a dress rehearsal. We'll kind of see like a half of like what the Grizzlies are going to look like on opening night.
Yeah, I actually am on the same page as you. I mean, I think it's like the last game, obviously not everyone has played every single game thus far, but why not? Why not put out the five guys that the question that we've all been obsessed with, throughout this offseason, the one thing that keeps us alive because we're able to debate, could we finally get the answer? I think we're starting to sort of see, I don't know if you're on the same page. I haven't really kept up with what everyone's saying, but it seems like we might have that answer to who our fifth starter is going to be.
First of all, how dare you not keep up with everything I'm saying? Second of all, yeah, I think so. So I jumped on this assumption that whoever we saw in the first preseason game was going to be the one. And then when it was Luke Kennard, I'm like, there we go. We got our answer.
Yeah.
But everything since then, it has just gotten murkier and murkier. Like, first of all, kudos to Zaire Williams for being awesome
my
this
God.
preseason. Like, he's been so good this preseason.
Yeah.
Yes, he's still not like a great rebounder, but you can tell he's trying.
Yeah.
And you can also, by the way, tell like there's been a couple of plays, and these go under the uncontested rebound. So technically they don't matter. Like, it does not matter who grabs them, but Zaire, because he's tall and can jump, you see him like stealing rebounds from Roddy. You see him stealing them from like Aldama. And I'm like, see, he does have it. But the offensive end, we're seeing everything from Zaire. So Zaire's made this huge case. If it was an open competition as far as like who's going to start, well, Zaire basically probably won that based on the preseason. Yeah. But then in this most recent preseason game, Roddy started, and we're like, oh, so we've seen Kennard, we've seen Zaire, we've seen Roddy, and then there was this confusion about John Conchar, who hasn't played. And this is just a little bit of news because this is something I was talking about on the show. John Conchar has apparently been away from the team for personal reasons the last few games. So that gives us no clarity, Molly. He was not in the rotation because the coaching staff were like, all right, we're going to elevate so-and-so, Roddy and Zaire and maybe LaRavia this game. No. He just hasn't been there. And you go back to the one preseason game he played, he actually started the second half. When Derrick Rose. So like now it's like, I have no idea.
You don't feel, I don't know. I kind of feel like I have some clarity. I sort of feel like I think I know how it's going to go down. I think Zaire has won that role. I do. And I think now the question really is who's in first, Roddy or Conchar? That's how I see it.
So I think I agree with you that Zaire's done enough where I think if Zaire can do it, it makes more sense. This is what I've been saying for a while. Like if Zaire can do it, everything makes more sense if Kennard comes in. That way we're playing fewer super small ball lineups. But all right, so let's just say, all right, Derrick Rose, opening night, Derrick Rose, Desmond Bane.
Like
so Derrick Rose, that's the one thing. Sorry. So I misspoke. Desmond Bane, Marcus Smart, yes. But I guess I will ask you, are we ignoring Derrick Rose?
Okay.
Is Derrick Rose in consideration? Have we been looking at this battle the entire incorrect way? And
no, I don't think we have.
So Derrick Rose is off the bench.
But I do think Derrick Rose has been a pleasant surprise for someone who was very indifferent about that signing, almost like confused about that signing, confused about why everyone was so thrilled. I just sort of saw Derrick Rose as someone who maybe had passed the point of being a productive NBA player. And you know what? From what we've seen, it looks like, I mean, it's preseason. Like you obviously have to keep that in mind, but you know, maybe there is that factor of being in a place that he's excited to be. And he's shown really great signs of life. Obviously, we're not going to need him to be out there playing, 20 plus minutes, but like a guy that can come in, give you a solid 15 to 18 minutes off the bench. I mean, that's huge, right? Like it takes less responsibility off Bane when Ja isn't there. I'm really happy with what I've seen with D-Rose, but no, I don't see how we would, that just wouldn't make sense, especially without Ja.
Yeah. So Molly, you've impressed me by admitting that you were down on the Derrick Rose signing. I was down on the Derrick Rose signing, and much like you, I was surprised when it happened. I was like, what? But and I also then wasn't super excited because I'm not from Memphis and I have no connection to the Memphis Tigers program. You are from Memphis, so I'm a little bit shocked you would come out. But this might be, all right, this might maybe reflect your age.
No, it does not reflect my age. What it reflects is I did not grow up a Memphis Tigers fan. I was indoctrinated by a Tennessee Volunteers father. I ended up later attending the University of Memphis, where I, of course, rooted for the Tigers. That was my team. That being said, like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I am some passionate Tigers fan. It's the Grizzlies for me. It's always been the Grizzlies. I love Memphis, so I reflect. I see everyone's excitement. D-Rose, of course, I maybe didn't share that excitement. I had my doubts about him. I don't have that same love that a lot of people in Memphis do have for him, but I hope that he can be what everyone thinks he's going to be. But yes, it's a reflection of the fact that, I'm sorry, everyone. I know Made in Memphis was not Memphis Tigers fan. It's blame my dad, but it's that's why D-Rose was not.
You would have been more excited if like we got who, like Tobias
Listen.
Harris. So I'm thinking, who's
No,
who's
not
who's
Tobias.
who's the Tennessee Volunteer? You were like me. You wanted Josh Richardson to come back.
Oh, I was like Admiral
Okay.
Schofield.
Oh,
Draft
Admiral
this
Schofield.
Man,
There you
please. But listen, obviously
I
things
think he's
change. Listen,
available.
when we got Jarnell Stokes, I literally like got his jersey. It was a whole thing. I got Jarnell Stokes' jersey, and then Jarnell changed his number. God, the sun is like in my
I
face.
think he was number 2 is what he wore on the Grizzlies.
Yeah, but I think like at first for like one game he was like 3 or 1, and then he changed it. So I tweeted at him and was like, Jarnell, like what the hell? With a picture of my jersey, and there was this whole thing, and he was like, oh my God, let me buy you a new one. But then like there never ended up being he was really nice and kept following up, but like they didn't sell his jersey.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Wait, do you still have that Stokes jersey?
Listen, I can't say that I do because I've never bought like a real, oh my God, my cat. I've never bought a real NBA jersey that's not like bootleg. So like,
sure.
I think
you're
I've probably
DH gate, or is there another illicit?
I don't even know. It's been so long. I'm like just not a jersey person.
Yeah.
I wish I was because it's funny because I love jerseys. I'm like obsessed with like every year. Like I scroll for the leaks of the City Edition, but yeah, I don't own any actually. I guess I'm kind of hoping that one day a team will be like, you know, Molly, here's this jersey.
Right, you're an influencer, right?
Right.
I should send you.
Trust me.
That was
my
listen. I had one great disappointment from my time being affiliated with Grind City Media, and it was the lack of swag. I thought maybe just like one hoodie, maybe just like send me.
Yeah.
And they were like, man, we don't even get free hoodies. You got to pay for everything.
Keith, I have been sent gifts from the Washington Wizards and never from the Memphis Grizzlies. It's absurd.
That's messed up.
Absurd. It is, isn't it?
I haven't broken through in the national level enough to get these gifts. I see them and I want them. I desire them. I mean, my true wish is actually to stop covering the NBA and to be a Lego influencer. I found this little vein on YouTube and I'm like, wait, Lego just sends them sets. So yeah, that's what I really want. Going back to the Grizzlies. Oh
yes.
So
the Grizzlies who don't send us anything.
They don't. The Grizzlies who send us they do send me prizes to give away at Nashville watch parties, which is totally awesome. Appreciate that. But I'm just saying, maybe just one jersey. No. If Zaire starts, and then off the bench, like I think in the offseason, I was thinking maybe not even Derrick Rose would play, but it seems like Derrick Rose is going to play at least while Ja Morant is suspended. You got Rose, you got Kennard, and then we got, I think there's no question mark about the front court, Santi and Xavier. And now that leaves the one spot for everybody else, which is kind of wild. Are we narrowing it down? Is it basically in your mind, is it Roddy and Conchar, or does anybody else have
okay. I think so. I think it's Roddy or Conchar. It's a weird one because I believe that Taylor Jenkins is very confident in what he can receive from John Conchar. Especially, you know, if he is able to shoot how he once was able to shoot. I think he provides you that kind of steadiness. I believe we all know that Roddy's ceiling is higher. So sort of a matter of who you feel more comfortable with, like on the court at the time. I don't know. How do you feel about how that's going to shape up?
I think they're going to change it around. I think it's just going to be like game by game. I would guess they would actually favor Conchar to start, because I think what Conchar provides, which in my mind is a little bit of defense, a little bit of rebounding, a little bit of that connective tissue. I think he does that at a better level than Roddy does. Roddy's been solid in the preseason. He's made some of his threes. He's been very aggressive, which I like. He looks like he's got a burst going towards the rim. You know, he's finishing strong. Agree. I love how it seems like when he catches a pass, and he's actually committed a couple turnovers on this, but I still like it where it seems like he has in his mind made up before the ball gets to him. Once I get this, I'm going to blow by my defender and go right to the rim. And he's athletic enough, strong enough to do that. And so I've been very encouraged by that. That being said, I think Roddy's strength over Conchar is probably scoring. And maybe if he's playing on a second unit that has Derrick Rose, that has Luke Kennard, and then Aldama and Tillman, I think rebounding might be more valuable. And so I would probably lean Conchar, but I've also said this, I think something happened within like the last season where when it comes to the rotations and the players who play, I don't have strong takes anymore. Where I'm like,
Yeah,
they're all
I
about the
agree.
same, guys. Like I
I agree.
don't passionately believe like, oh man, if Roddy was just out there,
Right.
things would be happening. I'm just like, guys, Zaire, Roddy, Trilaravia, I don't know,
Yeah.
just play anybody. I mean, truly, my sick obsession is Vince Williams Jr., who played
Really?
he played one game in the preseason. He missed
Yeah.
seven of eight. He missed
Yeah, I
seven
was
of
about
eight
to
three pointers,
say.
but the man rebounded. He was
Yeah.
deflecting everything. He's blocking shots, and I'm like, well, that's what I want. But of course, I'm well aware Vince is going to have to dominate on the hustle.
Is this your new D'Anthony Melton? Well, not
I
quite
think
the same.
so. Well, no one will
D'Anthony
ever.
Melton was.
No one will ever. But I guess so. My wife asked me last night. Actually, she's like, "Who's your favorite Grizzlies player now?" And I'm like, first of all,
still haven't figured that out.
I said, first of all, thank you for asking. Yeah. So I think last off season we were talking about it.
Yeah.
And I think I narrowed it down to like Brandon Clark.
Maybe Brandon Clark.
And then he got hurt, and I'm like, just screw this. I can't.
Maybe don't pick one then.
Maybe don't pick one. So like,
yeah.
I think it might be Desmond Bane, but I have a personality flaw where when someone becomes too good at basketball or popular, I'm like, no, that can't be my guy. I can't plant my flag on like this guy averaging 26 points per game. Like what fun is that? And it's very stereotypical of me to latch on to like an end of the bench defender. So I guess why not? I don't need to learn new tricks. I don't need to create a new groove. I am who I am. And I think, Vince Williams Jr. is my favorite guy. Who's your favorite player?
So I don't really think I have favorite Grizzlies. I think I have favorite players in the NBA, but for me, like, there's probably like a 7 or 8 way tie for like my favorite. I mean,
that doesn't work.
Like, it's my team,
Yeah,
like,
sure.
They're just like, it's like I just love them all, right? Like I see a picture of Brandon Clark and Jaren.
You can't love them
Jaren
all.
hanging out, and I'm just like, besties, like my guys. Then I see Steven Adams, and I'm like, literally, you're the best. Ja, love Ja, of course. I don't have one. I know that that's a cop out. I used to be like you. I would try to pick a very niche end of the bench, hence Jarnell Stokes.
Sure.
But yeah, I just think like it's, as I've gotten older, it's really hard for me to have like a favorite Grizzlies player because I just sort of see them all, except for the ones that I just like don't have the emotional connection with, which it's maybe more like end of the bench guys.
How do you feel about ex-Grizzlies players? Because what happens with me a lot is I can run hot and cold on guys, and like a Dylan Brooks or a Tyus Jones, where I'm like, what? Like I don't feel that strongly about Tyus Jones. He is what he is. But once they become ex-Grizzlies players, generally I have nothing but fondness. Like I cannot wait to watch the Houston Rockets play. Like Dylan Brooks getting thrown out of a preseason game was delightful. I loved it. And like I can't wait to cheer for Tyus Jones on the Wizards. And suddenly I start watching those. Like, do you have the same? I don't know. Like all of a sudden there's this fondness for me.
Yeah, what's kind of disgusting? Like I probably would have said Dylan was my favorite player if you had asked me, like when he was on the team.
That's a perfect answer.
I just think like Dylan, but I also was like on the board of everyone else that was like, get this guy out of. I mean, I think like as Grizzlies fans, we all experienced this like collective trauma at the end of last season, the postseason, and after, I've said this before, after the Shannon Sharp incident, everything just like went to like, if you look chronologically at everything that went wrong, that was the turning point. So yeah, I think Dylan like was just providing us with so much attention when we wanted eyes to look like away from us. So that was just really hard. But I love Dylan, and I'm gonna be jealous when I see videos of Dylan and the Rockets dancing before games, and I am. It's kind of like looking at your ex-boyfriend. Like, move on. It's like, bittersweet. But Tyus, I was a big Tyus fan. I love Tyus. I feel fondness. Yeah, I'm the same way. There's never been a player except for like Chandler Parsons that has left, and
turning the clock back. There's been a few where I was like, yeah, I'm glad that guy's gone, and I don't cheer for him. There was a couple. I think one of your favorite players, if I'm remembering correctly, like when Quincy Pondexter was gone.
Stop! We can't talk bad about Quincy. That's my guy.
I was like, I'm glad that guy's out of here.
No, I love Quincy.
It's really funny. You talked about the dancing videos. So I had Chris Harrington on a few weeks ago, and we were wondering, maybe guessing, do we think are the dancing videos gone? Because Dylan led it, and like the front row was Dylan, Tyus, and Kennedy Chandler.
We're not doing those this year. It's
like
gonna be the Rockets.
And also there's all this whole like we got to get serious. We gotta buckle down. So you're thinking no more pregame?
I don't think pregame dance. What breaks me is that I know people are going to start loving the Rockets and loving the dancing because they haven't won yet. So no one. It's like when you start winning, that's when you piss people off.
Agreed.
You see it literally. There's not a single player in the league that people don't turn on. I mean, we've seen it with Jimmy Butler, Jokic. It's like
Steph Curry.
What made them endearing at one point, is the reason people say, oh, this Jokic not liking basketball. It's an ad.
Oh, right.
With Jimmy, like all of his stuff, like it's stupid. People root against people, like build you up to kick you down. That's how it is and everything. So yeah, I know that people are gonna all of a sudden F with Dylan, be like, oh, you know what? I actually don't mind this guy. He's pretty funny. Yeah. And it's like, okay, like, well, why were you saying the Grizzlies were like it's painful. I shouldn't care.
You're 100% correct. I think when people turned on Steph Curry, I was like, what? This guy is just delightful. He's just the best. He's the most fun basketball player ever. And it's funny. Yeah. Like one of my really good friends, Damon Rangula, who is like a big Twitter Lakers guy. He's like turned on Jokic. He's like, this is so annoying. No. I'm like, how are you annoyed by Jokic? He's like,
I love him.
Yeah. He's the nicest and the funniest.
I'm obsessed with Jokic. Like truly brings me so much joy.
Yeah.
I just think, I think that's a wholesome person. I think it's a very wholesome person.
I 100% agree with you. I've been obsessed with the guy for forever. I think the national, whatever it is, consciousness or like the mood people have towards the Grizzlies, it definitely shifted in the last year. It's funny you mentioned the Shannon Sharp game, specifically on Fast Break Breakfast yesterday on Wednesday. We were talking about that. That also was like the Dennis Schroeder game. And because we had a Nashville watch party for that game. The Grizzlies blew the big lead in the fourth quarter. Dennis Schroeder destroyed us in the final minute. I was like, we had actually had like a Fast Break Breakfast meetup. People from across the country had come and were there. And I'm like, that everything switched and everything got dark. We entered the darker timeline. Everything fell apart. So I like to hear you agreeing that everything turned after that. Also, of course, I mean, Ja Morant. All right. Huge storylines, everything Ja Morant has done, and ESPN kind of rekindled some of that stuff with an article that came out on Wednesday. And let's talk about that briefly right after this short break. Hey there, guys. I just want to tell you that once again, Underdog Fantasy has extended their new user sign-up bonus where they will match your opening deposit up to $500. That is up from their previous $100 opening deposit match. So I wanted you guys to know the opportunity when you use that promo code FBBF or click the link in this episode's description that Underdog Fantasy will match your opening deposit up to $500. Also, it will give you a free higher or lower pick if you are in one of those states where that is legal. By the way, on vacation last week in North Carolina, I was in one of those states where higher or lower was legal, and it was a lot of fun making those picks, watching along on Thursday Night Football with some money on the line. So if you want to play fantasy sports for money, if you want to get involved when the NBA season starts with their daily fantasy, with your unique fantasy games for money, try out Underdog Fantasy. And again, use that promo code FBBF and they will match your opening deposit up to $500. All right, Molly. So ESPN kind of rehashed all the Ja Morant stuff. It feels annoying as Grizzlies fans. Like we just have to acknowledge it. Like it's like perfunctory. This happened. I'll say I don't get super sensitive about these type of things usually as a fan. I'm not overly defensive of like, oh, this is painted our guys in a bad light. I thought the reporting was very interesting, and the timelines laid out with how it was interesting. I did, I guess, have some issue like some other people did with like, it seemed like they were blaming a lot of rap music and the way he went to clubs and stuff. And it's like that part felt a little bit icky. But I mean, again, I guess it falls back to like Ja Morant has to behave. And we know that like that got ESPN a lot of traffic yesterday. And it's going to keep happening until hopefully Ja Morant can play basketball. But what were your impressions or how did that article make you feel?
Yeah, so you know what? I didn't even read that till today because when I saw it yesterday, I was just like, I don't want to read this. I can't read this because I started it and it was just kind of angering me and upsetting me. I read it today. You know, it's an article that makes sense to be written. I agree with you. I thought a lot of the ways it was framed were just a bit icky because it didn't even seem like this like impartial piece that's just reporting the facts, right? It did feel like a negative piece that was sort of like not angled from like if you're gonna lay out the negative facts, like totally fair and fine. But I did sense some negative bias almost like in the way that it was written. Listen, like this is all stuff that is going to be reported on, but I agree with you. There was just it was strangely framed. It was strange that they kept, heavily quoting these people, these, this Memphis store owner, right? Whatever. It's like
right.
Like okay, and they they quote this guy like 7 times throughout the story, and it's just sort of that doesn't feel strong at all. That feels so weak. And then it's like, how are you gonna use him as like your main source here? I don't know.
The parts that I found that seemed to be I guess they seemed overtly coded like language where it was like this unnamed Memphis business person was like, oh, he used to be so humble. And it's like, that's coded language. And then it's like, oh, and now he just like, I warned him, he just wants to be a rapper and all this stuff. You're like, that.
I hated
that. Rubs me the wrong way, man.
Part.
Like, I didn't enjoy that. The stuff I found actually really interesting was the team source. All right. There were, it seemed like there were multiple team sources and people talking about like the hotel sit down where Taylor Jenkins and Zach Kleiman said like, hey man, you've effed up basically. And so all that, again, good part of the article. The rest of it, I was like, the framing seemed weird. I have no problem with him drinking tequila on a private jet on the way to the All-Star weekend. Like that part, setting that up as the story of like, this is how it all goes wrong. It's like, I don't know, man. Like,
it was a weird timing. I mean, I think ESPN, they do release things oftentimes for engagement, for clicks. That whole top 100 list, that's just. But a day before, Ja's posting videos and pictures of like puppies on his Instagram story. He's been very laid back. He's been back on social media, which he has every right to do, and he's just been chilling. I think he does a lot of like yoga emojis. I
like the yoga emojis.
He's in his Zen era. I just like can imagine that like things like that are very difficult when you're trying to block out noise. It makes it impossible. And I just hope that he feels that there are so many people who are not sitting here harping on mistakes he might have been making or how everything went down, how everything went to shit. That's basically was the premise of the article. How he ruined his life. This guy is so young and he has a big opportunity to get in that better place, and I think like that's all any of us want, and he's gonna get nothing but love and applause from Memphis. So yeah, I can imagine that that's difficult. But I mean, obviously, like I think all of us held him accountable. Of course, none of us were, but at the same time, like the way this whole thing is treated versus the way like really bad things are treated is just interesting. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that he is Ja Morant and he is the most electrifying, fun player in the league, so I understand that that's why these things are blown up a bit more, but it does feel a bit icky.
Yeah. Well, let's wrap up with something fun. Let's think about when Ja Morant returns, and I'm curious how you feel this Grizzlies squad is going to stack up in the Western Conference. What are your expectations for this Grizzlies season, and how good they are in the West when they're totally healthy?
How good we are in the West? That's a good question.
I thought it up. No one's ever asked that question before. It's that's a Keith
yeah,
original.
how did you come up with that?
Yeah, wow.
I feel like I've been like so Eastern Conference focused, even though that's not my conference. The West. It's a great point. There is a Western Conference that we are in. Yeah, I think that actually I was thinking about this a couple weeks ago, and I sort of like have been under this idea that we were going to be a play-in team this upcoming season, and that I was okay with that because clearly not okay with that. I'd rather be a lower. I don't care about being a top 2 seed. In fact, I'd rather not be.
We've done that.
We've done that. It hasn't worked out for us. I don't care, which is why I'm like very comfortable using those 25 games without Ja as experimental as they want, but then I kind of looked at the West and I was like, you know what? I don't think we will be in the play-in, if I'm honest. Start looking at the teams. Obviously the Nuggets. Then who else? The Warriors. They are pretty deep, but at the same time, we just don't know how about shit. All of it has to do with health. Clippers, I don't think anyone is threatened by them at this point. I don't.
What if the Clippers get Harden though? That's like the one thing I don't like, where I'm like,
I'm not bothered. I don't think that.
If the Clippers get James Harden, I'm like, okay, they're better than the Grizzlies. And that bugs me, at least in my mind. Like, they're more talented, like Paul George, Kawhi, and James Harden. And then they actually have a deep roster of like just guys who can play. And like that, frankly, that scares me. And so I would prefer that not happen.
Okay. I think health is a big one there. Yeah. Kings, they're good, right? Like,
they're good, but hey, if Steven Adams is healthy, get out of here. We got the Kings.
I agree. I think that they sort of went on the Grizzlies trajectory last year, and they overachieved a bit. They're offensively going to be great, but who else? Who else is in?
Well, the Suns, obviously.
The Suns.
The Suns seem really good. I'm
basically the Suns.
Yeah.
I'm big on the Suns. I'm not even. I don't even think they're as like I don't think their lack of depth is as jarring as it's made out to be. It's not great. I do believe that they are very reliant on those guys, but I don't know. I feel like that this is the season that they can do something. I do. I don't think they're going to go all the way, but I do see them being top of the conference.
Yeah, I've been a little bit down on the Suns in the context of them being a contender. Of like, I don't think they're actually better than the Nuggets, and I don't think they're better than the Celtics or the Bucks, and so maybe that probably puts me lower on them. But I do think they're better than the Grizzlies, and I do think you got Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. Like, first of all, as a starting point, that's unreal. And then when we talk about their depth, you're like, well, their front court depth, I think definitely thin with Nurkic in there. But when we look at their bench, like as Grizzlies fans, we can't criticize their bench, guys. Like,
literally
like their bench. Have you seen we're arguing about David Roddy and Laravia and Zaire and Santi, and we feel like Santi's penciled in, and we hope these guys all improve, but like Santi, I think they might play Nasir Little or Keita Bates-Diop, which the Suns have over Santi. It's one of those things where like we're big on our own guys, but if you look at him, I'm like, well, where would he fit in the rotation of this team? It's like, I don't know if they would clearly put him over those guys. So like, the Suns' depth issues, that might hurt them against the Celtics. Right, I still think I would love it if the Grizzlies defense and maybe overall team cohesion works better than the Suns. I could see that. I could see the Grizzlies having a better season than the Suns because of those things. But talent wise, yikes. Suns terrifying.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the Grizzlies, though, one thing we know about this team is they just like will surprise us. Yeah. They will surprise everyone. Yep. We've seen it when Ja's been out in the past and everyone's like, oh, are they better without Ja Morant? No, we just always randomly seem to be able to like step up when the odds are stacked against us. It's something that's been the case, not even with just this current core. I mean, remember when we had the season with 28 players and we made the playoffs, right? Like we had these nobodies out on the court. And
I don't know if I can back up your conclusion there. Like we made the playoffs because we had a good record before we started signing all those good players.
But here's the thing:
the team was like a plane that exploded and somehow landed on the runway. Or something.
But like this has just always been like how I really believe that this is how the Grizzlies have always been. Like, that team, they were fun. They actually ended up being fun to watch. They made
Dave Yeager cry. Okay, Dave Yeager cried. Okay, he was broken. By the time that happened,
the Goon Squad.
But hey, maybe it was grit. Maybe it was all that. It
was.
Okay.
No, but the thing is, I think that the Grizzlies are going to surprise people. Yeah. But I also think that like I need to let go of. I believe I'm one of those annoying people that's like I think that the team we had that lost to the Warriors when Ja went down was the best Grizzlies team that we have ever had.
I agree with you.
And it pains me sometimes to think about it because I just that team was a champ. Like that was literally a contending team. And then it just you look at that roster and it's like I just hope, there's a lot of we don't know, right? We haven't even seen Marcus Smart. We know that he's gonna provide an excellent boost for us in one way or another. I mean, just gotta love my cat.
Your cat and Molly's cat just walked past the camera. My cat, my new cat is locked in a room right now.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my God. I used to have to do that with podcasts, but he would claw on the door and I couldn't. But yeah, I think the Grizzlies will surprise people. I need to stop. I feel like I'm a little bit like low on us because of how badly everything went down last season. And I also just like, I think I just hope Ja, like, forget what he can accomplish on the court. Of course, he's so phenomenal. He's inevitable. And I'm also so sick of seeing people like, just be like, oh, Shea, Shea, and just, oh yeah. Ja, who's that? Come on, guys. Like, Shea is not by any means worlds better than Ja Morant. They were very neck and neck, and Ja has won a lot more. Yes, with better help, but I still think that says something. The way he was able to come in the league and instantly, become a play-in team. Anyway, I could go on a tangent about that, but I just really hope that Ja, like, he's the leader, right? Like he might not be, you can say it's Jaren, you can say it's Marcus Smart, but Ja Morant, like, he is that guy who has the ability to put us in a spot to win the championship, and he is the guy who, throughout all of this, there's never been an issue. Everyone loves him. The team loves him. As far as we know, but you can see that. Like
they act like they do. They all say they do. Yeah. This team seems still very tight. Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell, the vibes are good. I just really hope that he's good. Like, I just really hope that I don't know, I'm not even talking about the whatever trouble. No, I hope understand. That he is good because, there has been some sad, you can sense some sadness in him, which is just really upsetting to see. And I hope he's good. And to me, that's the most, if anything, the most important thing going into the season. Anyway, on a more positive note, I'll pitch a question. Yeah. Which is who the player we think could take the biggest leap this season is. Because I was asked that last year and I said Zaire.
You were just a year early.
I was a year early, but you know what? I gotta give a shout out to Santi Aldama because
so good last year, yeah. From what was expected, like he definitely stepped it up.
No, but this season, this is the season of Santi.
So you're going with Santi?
Yes.
That was your. Oh, I gotcha.
I'm going with Santi.
Is it boring to say like Desmond Bane? He's already taken leaps, but I think he's going to take another one. I think he's just going to I think he might be astounding this year. If I can't go with Desmond Bane, I guess I'm gonna borrow your Zaire Williams answer. I mean,
okay, take it.
Who else
I can't say him again.
Who else am I supposed to pick after this preseason? The guy's been tremendous.
Santi.
Yeah. All right. No, I mean Santi's been good, but I don't know. We'll see if he can. So one thing that will be interesting as we wrap up here, like that. Santi started last game when there was no Steven Adams, and last year they would start Tillman in those situations. And the
Right.
Grizzlies have some back-to-backs early, and I'm going ahead and assuming Steven Adams isn't playing a back-to-back for a while, the way they brought him along so slowly. So another thing to keep our eyes on is, does Santi get the start alongside Jaren when Tillman's there? Like, maybe that's what they'll choose to do. Like, I want to say they play. Who do they play? They play the Nuggets next Friday night, and then there's a it's against the Wizards, I think. They play at Washington maybe the next night or something. And like, who starts that game in the front court? It'll be very interesting to monitor. But anyways, Molly, really appreciate you coming on. Always fun to talk Grizzlies with you, and I look forward to you coming on again sometime.
Yeah, of course. Go Grizz.
Go Grizz.